side of the problem. Don't stop short in dealing with issues by taking merely a political stand. Certainly a vote on issues is your responsibility. However, a consciousness of transcendence is your spiritual responsibility. Become an arbiter of peace. Bless all persons and all parties. Feel a flowing forth of love going out in all directions to bless all persons everywhere. You can become a center of love. Enough centers of love around the world will build bridges of communication and peace. Love is the answer.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Kellee. Hey, we'd like to get a whole lot of other singers up here. And we're going to do a song that's written by Elena over here on the piano. Really nice song called Breath of Love. Are you ready for some ooze? Ooh. Darkest times.
Keep running to seek out the light.
Out the light, out the light.
'Cause everything has a side.
Has a side, has a side.
Everything has a side that is bright today. It was a breath of love. I didn't know what it was. I would know soon. enough. It was a breath of love. Oh, it was a breath of love. I didn't know what it was. I would know soon enough. It was a breath of love. A breath
It was a
of love.
breath of love.
A breath of love. Didn't know what it was. It was a breath of love. A breath of love.
Thank you all so very much. Yeah, Elena. Otis. We'll be back a little bit later.
Well, that was Elena Magny with her backup singers. We can sure see inherited talent, can't we? So last Monday, we celebrated the birthday of Martin Luther King Jr. And when we think of Dr. King, some of us are familiar with his I Have a Dream speech that he delivered during the March on Washington on August 28th, 1963. I remember his speech. I watched it live on my black and white little television. I was just 21 years old. His words and his dream touched me deeply. Another thing that touched me deeply that he said was, we adopt the means of nonviolence because our end desire is a community of peace within itself. He dreamed of the day when racial justice and equality for all people would be the way of our land. So today, we remember not only the dreamer, but the dream. The dream has not yet been realized. And it does seem that racism has risen to the surface of our country. And for some, that's okay, I guess. And for others, it's absolutely not acceptable. I am one of the others. He also said, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only love can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. The 1960s were years of turmoil and fear. And just 3 months after MLK gave his dream speech, President Kennedy was assassinated. I also saw that on TV. The nation was plunged into fear and deep sadness. And 5 years later, only 5 years later, April 4th, 1968, Martin Luther King was assassinated. And then just 2 months after that, Robert F. Kennedy was shot and died. The Vietnam War was going on during the same time period, and we saw it every night. We saw film of what was going on in the villages and to the villagers as they were bombed and burned and killed. 58,000 American soldiers died there. There were anti-war protests peace marches and a complete divide amongst the people in our country. On May 4th, 1970, the Ohio National Guard opened fire on a crowd of anti-war demonstrators at Kent State University. 4 students were killed. Horrible history, painful history. And I share this history with you because we're living in a place, once again, of unrest and turmoil. But I know, both from experience and from my faith, that we are not helpless. I believe that somehow, that the things that divide us will once again fade, and we will come together. Some of us, many of us, might be feeling fear. Yet I implore you to remember that we are one with each other and one with Spirit. And there is really more kindness, more love, and more people helping people than we ever see on the news. The peacemaker, Mahatma Ghandi, said, "I did once seriously, very seriously, think of embracing the Christian faith." And he explained it this way: the gentle figure of Jesus, so patient, so kind, so loving, so full of forgiveness, that he even taught his followers not to retaliate when abused or struck, but to turn the other cheek. He went on to say, I thought that was a beautiful example of an almost perfect man. Gandhi also said, Jesus occupies my heart. He is one of the greatest teachers who has had a considerable influence on my life. I shall say to the Hindus that your life will not be complete unless you reverently study the teachings of Jesus. Make this world the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything will be added unto you. I tell you that if you understand, appreciate, and act upon the spirit of this passage, you won't need to know what place Jesus or any other master teacher who might occupy your heart. So in unity, we honor all paths to God. And we see Jesus and some of the other master teachers as our example. So in the verse in Matthew, where he said, you have heard it was said, eye for eye and tooth for tooth, but I tell you, do not respond in kind to an evil person. If someone strikes you on the right cheek, turn the other cheek to him also. If someone wants to sue you, take off your shirt. Let him have your coat. If someone forces you to go a mile, go 2 miles with him. Give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. What does that mean? Well, we're going to look at that. So the idea of turning the other cheek is probably one of the most misunderstood passages in the Bible. On the surface, it sounds like we should become a punching bag, and none of us want to do that. But Jesus never intended that. His first followers would not have understood it that way, and neither should we. The real message here is don't become the evil you resist. Don't become the evil you resist. If violence is evil, then let's not respond to evil with evil. Let's not respond to violence with violence. Let's do our part to break the cycle of violence. So Jesus is asking his followers to seek a different response. He doesn't want us to let others whack us around, and neither does he want us to sink to the level of those who violate us. He wants us to find a third way, a nonviolent way. He wants us to raise our consciousness. His suggestion about turning the other cheek can really only be grasped by understanding the culture of the Jewish people at that time. The Bible scholar Walter Wink kind of helps us with this. He said, turning the other cheek was actually a very, very clever strategy for forcing the violator into an impossible contortion of arm, wrist, and elbow. The social conduct of the day allowed for slapping, but only with the back of the right hand. Okay? So never the palm and never the left hand, only the back of the right hand. So in short, this strategy, turn the other cheek, kind of brings a measure of shame on the attacker by robbing him of his power. He went on to write, anyone hearing this clever teaching would have smiled and would have given them one of those ahas that accompanies a brilliant revelation. So turning the other cheek would be instantly wowed and would see the value in finding the third way, the way of nonviolence. So my daughters attended a Lutheran elementary school. And part of the program back then was to memorize a Bible verse each week. So one week, my youngest daughter, Linda, had this very verse to memorize. And that same week, the girls were sitting watching television, and I was in the kitchen preparing dinner. And I heard Leslie say, "Ouch, that hurt." And then I heard a slap. And Linda started crying. "Mom, Leslie hit me." And Leslie chimed in. "She hit me first." I think that's written in our genes, right? So when I asked them what had happened, Linda said to me, "She was supposed to turn the other cheek." They still somehow behave that way. So a close examination of the Bible reveals that Jesus resisted evil at every turn, but found ways to do so without violating people. He never escalated conflict. He was a perfect example of finding a third way. He didn't advocate giving evil for evil. He just had the confidence that people of faith seek a better way to respond to violence. And when they do, they find that Spirit moves within them and opens a way they may not never have even thought of. So today, violence shows up in our world in many ways: verbal, gunshots, and bullying. And bullying is a form of violence, and we're not to tolerate it. Neither are we to respond in kind, thus lowering ourselves to that very negative energy that we hope to resist. In my view, bullying and other actions of violence have to do with the person's low esteem. So nonviolence is a counterintuitive behavior. If someone punches me in the nose, for sure I'll cry. My nose will probably bleed. But then my next thought might be to punch them back, but they're probably going to be too tall for me. So I admit I've wanted to do that on some occasions, return violence for violence, insult for insult. But it just would tend to be you'd have two bloody noses, or two people keeping their distance from each other for a very long time. And that's not exactly what Jesus had in mind. I believe when he suggested that we turn the other cheek, he was suggesting we buy some time to consider our response. A response that might have differed in the outcome. One that might lead us towards something that looks more like peace. So a practice of peace calls for us to have counterintuitive behavior. In the Gospel of John, we find another story of Jesus teaching to the crowd of people when a group of men pushed their way into the midst, dragging a poor woman with them who they're accusing of adulterous behavior. They confront him boldly. Moses said we should stone the likes of a woman like this. What do you say? And what Jesus does in the face of this violent confrontation is in some way he turns the other cheek. He buys some time. He kneels down and uses his finger to kind of write in the sand. But he's searching his heart. And then he stands up and he says to the bullies, the one among you who is without sin, go ahead and throw that first stone. And one by one, beginning with the eldest, they all depart. They all go away. The tension is diffused. With this metaphor, we're reminded that if an unpleasant form of energy comes our way, we're to give a positive form of energy in return. By making our response one of love, compassion, and understanding, we are intentionally deciding who we are. I do not know of a more powerful illustration than this principle of nonviolence. The Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual Organization would come to the Unity Church that Jim and I went to in Sacramento. And they write, awakening is the wondrous process of listening, deeply listening to the call of the soul. Amidst the noise of life, we turn inward. We turn inward and open to the soul that gives us life. Sister Shivana of the Brahma Kumaris has written about unlocking our inner freedom by transforming our lives, which in turn creates a better world for everyone. She says that the conflict we experience today is a byproduct of either reflecting the negative energy that comes our way or simply absorbing it. But she reminded us that we are in control of how we respond. When another person sends us energy of hate, anger, or of low vibration, the other person is responsible for their actions. And yet it is how we choose to respond that transforms not only the relationship, but possibly the whole world as well. So here's a story. You know, I love stories. And someday I'm going to write a story about Lil with her upstairs cat and her downstairs cat. So I heard this story on NPR, and it illustrates the third way. It tells of how a man responded to being mugged. The proper response to being mugged is to try to stay safe and to contribute what you can to the mugger being caught. Instead, the victim in this situation expressed love. And it goes like this. Julio Diaz has a daily routine. Every night, the 31-year-old social worker ends his long-hour subway commute to the Bronx, one stop early, just so he can eat at his favorite diner. But one night last month, as Diaz got off of the train into the nearly empty platform, his evening took an unexpected turn. He was walking toward the stairs when a teenage boy approached him and pulled out a knife. He wanted my money, so I just gave him my wallet and said, "Here you go." And as the teen began to walk away, Diaz yelled to him, "Hey, wait a minute, you forgot something. If you're going to be robbing people for the rest of the night, you might as well take my coat to keep warm." The would-be robber looked at his victim with an expression like, "What the hell's going on here?" And he said, "Hey, dude, why are you doing this?" And Diaz replied, "If you're willing to risk your freedom for a few dollars, then I guess you must really need the money. I mean, kid, all I really wanted to do was get my dinner. If you want to join me, hey man, you're welcome to it." Diaz says, "You know, I just felt like that kid really needed help." So he and the teen went into the diner, sat in a booth. Julio practiced non-resistance in this situation. And unfortunately, we don't know the rest of the story about the young teen, and I chose not to make one up. But I like to imagine that his life was completely turned around by this simple act of kindness. As you can see, non-resistance is self-empowerment. When you practice non-resistance, it often diffuses a potentially explosive situation. You're not empowering the other person through equal and exact force. You are spiritually keeping your own power as you stay in integrity with the values and the examples of Gandhi, Jesus, and Martin Luther King. So today, I invite you to consider standing in your spiritual strength during this turmoil in our country. Really, by turning the other cheek when you are emotionally slapped. Respond with positive energy to any animosity, resentment, or unforgiveness that comes your way. And as each one of us practices this, we truly align with the all-powerful qualities of Spirit that contribute to the transformation of our own lives, the lives of our family and friends, and really the lives of everyone on our planet. Peace be still, my friends. John.
Okay, help me out here. Our thoughts are prayer, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayer. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is everywhere. And every thought's indeed a prayer.
For our meditation, I'm going to share a prayer with you that Martin Luther King said at the National Cathedral in Washington 5 days before he was assassinated. So I just invite you to go into your stillness and to feel your body, feel your heart space. And really know in the deepest part of you that we are one with everyone, no matter how they show up. So this is what he said. Oh God, we thank you for the fact that you have inspired men and women in all nations and in all cultures. We call you by different names. Some call you Allah. Some call you Elohim. Some call you Jehovah. Some call you Buddha, and some Brahma. And some even call you unmoved mover. But we know deep in our hearts there are many names for the same God, for our one God. Grant that we will follow you and become so committed to your way and your kingdom that we will be able to establish in our lives and in this world a brother and sisterhood, an understanding where men and women will live together as brothers and sisters and respect the dignity and worth of every human being. And we say this in the name of the Spirit of love. And so it is. Amen.
May the blessings of God rest upon me. May God's peace abide in me. May God's presence illuminate our heart now and forevermore. May the blessings of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide in you. May God's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore. May the blessings of God rest upon us. May God's peace abide in us. May God's presence illuminate our hearts now and forevermore. Now and forevermore.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Sharon, for that inspiring message. Thank you. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our musicians, John and his family. And Kellee, our reader. It goes on and on and on. So thank you for being here. And we also thank you that are watching us from afar on our little cameras up on the ceiling. Thank you. So would the ushers come forward? As we prepare for our offering, we bless our offering, and we're thankful for all that we have. We're a prosperous people. So together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
All right, can we get some choir, some singers up here, and some band members? All right, Rev Sharon Bush. Not only does she give great messages, but she gives great song titles, song inspirations. We're going to do one here that I wrote from a message she did last year, and it said, "You can always come back home." So once again, I got some excellent help up here, and I want to say we will have choir practice on this Wednesday also for next Sunday. All right. Tom there? Okay. Let's see.
She said, my daughter, just remember, oh, it's important that you know you can always come back home. You can always come back home. No matter how far you roam, you can always come back home. Oh, sister, it's all up to you. You can do it any time that you choose. 'Cause it's easy, you're already near it. Just to reach out for love and return to spirit. You can always come back home. You can always come back home. No matter how far you roam, you can always come back home.
Oh, Father, said the prodigal son, I know I don't deserve to be forgiven. Father said, son, I don't care about all that. I'm just so happy that you're back now.
You can always come back home.
Yes, you can now.
You can always come back home.
Anytime.
No matter how far you roam, you can always come back home. Oh, you can always come back home. You can always come back home. You can always come back home. No matter how far you roam, you can always come back home.
You can always.
Always come back home.
Whenever you get tired,
You can always come back home.
when you need a little comfort, my boy.
No matter how far you roam, you can always come back home.
You can always come back home. Oh, remember, you can always come back home. All right. Thank you all.
Okay, John, and you can always sing that song, right? Come on, let's welcome our young people in.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. On the corner of Lions and Vine, here on the corner of Lions and Vine, I'm gonna let it shine. Here on the corner of Lions and Vine, I'm gonna let it shine. Here on the corner of Lions and Vine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Well, we've been in letting it shine this morning. I tell you, we've had fun. Today is our last day of talking about a peaceful heart with making puppets. Next month, we're going to concentrate on writing scripts and do puppet shows. So it's going to be fun. How can we use all of these amazing puppets that we've created? What were the two words that we... Hi, everybody. Hi, Daddy. I see them. You want to go down to them. It's okay. It's okay. Today, our power words, we're using Charles Fillmore's power words. And today's power word for this month has been faith. How it's necessary to have that faith that there is more than we are working with in our world, in our five sensory world, and how we can dig deeper in order to find that peaceful heart within ourselves. And then the second word we used was what? Who wants to tell me? Okay, come with us.
Imagination. The second.
Why is faith and imagination so important?
Faith and imagination is so important because it's important to have it.
How do they work together, then?
Do you want to say that, Keeper?
If we have the faith within us, what does that open us up to?
That opens us up to believe that there is something, that there is more stuff out there that we can't see.
So much more, and that opens up our imagination, doesn't it, and our creativity. So that's how those two work together. Sorry, I have to lead a little bit. But anyway, yes, okay, that's cool. All right, what else do you guys want to talk about? Your puppets that you made today?
Yeah. I made 2 puppets today. This one I haven't come up with the name yet, but she really, really likes classical music. And then this other one is really into Broadway musicals.
I also made 2 today. This is Grandma Robina, and the one holding the mic is Damien, and he is the police chief. And then this is his younger brother, which I made last time, and his name's Otto. Yeah, and then this is Otto's grandma.
Is it criminal?
Yeah, criminal. She's a criminal.
So, hi, I'm a Triclops, and and I didn't make another puppet today, but Bezos is back, and so, yeah. Happy Australia Day.
All right, I want also, I've got some flyers out front for camp. And I know you guys, part of you know about the camp. We're going to have camp here June 16th through 20th. And then camp at Polestar the 23rd through the 27th. So we'd love for you guys to take a flyer. If you have children, if you have grandchildren, if you have neighbors that you think that would really enjoy a wonderful summer camp, then please, please, we are registering now. We'll be limited to about 20 kids per camp. It's about the max of what we'll be able to do probably. And we're going to be getting there. We're going to be getting there really pretty quickly, I think, actually. It's working out well for us. So take a look at it. Thank you, guys.
And you might take one of those flyers and post at your neighborhood grocery store on their bulletin boards or wherever it's permitted. I wanted to tell you about something. You know, a couple of weeks ago I spoke about this theme, be audacious. Certainly, I normally don't single out individuals in our congregation that are audacious because most of you already are that. You contribute to this community in so many ways. But I want to mention something about someone just yesterday. Sharon was having her prayer workshop for her chaplains, and one of the couples presented a beautiful lunch. Barbara, Thank you for that. And then something noteworthy, there's somebody that comes down here and clears our walks and takes the snow away. And yesterday, guess what he did? When the individuals were leaving, he went out and cleared windshields of snow. And then Sharon had to drive to Loveland. And guess what he did? He followed Sharon all the way to Loveland to make sure. Jim, thank you. Stand up. This is our audacious customer of the week. So thank you. Thank you both for what you've done yesterday. You're much appreciated. And we appreciate each and every one of you that participated in our service today by being here. So let's go ahead and circle up as we close our service. So together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.